Hello, I'm Acha,
And I'm Garrett.
and welcome to the Late Night Guild Wars 2. Well, today, in this video, we're going to talk about a very interesting Elite spec, and a very confusing one as well. Well, it was confusing, at least for me. We're going to talk about the Elementalist Elite spec, which is called Weaver. Throw us some information about the Weaver, my friend Garrett.
So, pretty much like you said, the Weaver fits. It fits into that very confusing area for, at least for me. It's something new when it comes to the Elementalist. I can't compare it to anything that we've seen so far in the game. It has dual attacks, which is a mechanic of the Thief, but they come by combining your elements. So for those of you that don't know how the Weaver works, it's basically you have your Elementalist. An Elementalist is attuned to one element at a time. Fire, air, water, and earth. And depending on what you want to attune to, you get different skills. So let's say you have a sword in hand, which is the Weaver's weapon, and you're attuned to fire. All of your skills, the first 5 skills on your bar, they are fire-based skills. And as soon as you swap to, let's say, water, your third skill and your two final skills, skill 4 and skill 5, they change to... The third skill changes into a water-fire combo, in this case, and the other skills, the 4 and 5, they change into water skills, into the water counterparts of the weapons that you have.
Hello!
So this makes for a very interesting dynamic, because all of the sudden you have this situation where I have to basically constantly swap between elements if I want to properly use my skills, so on and so forth. I think it turns the Elementalist in really what they wanted it to be in the first place. And the fun thing about the Weaver is that it might seem very complicated, but I don't think it is. I find it to be quite, I don't know how to call it exactly, sort of refreshing, I guess. Constantly swapping between the elements makes you feel, like a really badass, powerful mage. And the best part of it all, and this is one thing I really want to talk about when it comes to the Weaver, it has a barrier. So barrier is a new thing that's introduced with Heart of Thorns. Not Heart of Thorns, I'm sorry, Path of Fire. Yeah, that's a new thing introduced with Path of Fire. And it's extra health. So the Elementalist isn't a very resilient profession. It usually falls flat within 2 seconds if you hit it. It's very, very easy to burst down. I remember playing PvP like right at the beginning of Guild Wars 2, and every time I'd see an Elementalist, I'd just walk up to them and burst them down and be done with it. They didn't really have much resistance. They constantly swapped between elements to try and keep themselves alive, but because they did that, they couldn't deal the damage. Well, the Weaver sort of changes this. Not just because of all the elements swapping, you no longer, you swap to Earth, where you have Obsidian Flesh, a skill that makes you invulnerable. But you still have your fire skills, you still have your air skills, if that's what you had, in your first 3 skills. They are still powerful, they still deal damage. It creates a situation where the Weaver is no longer... the Elementalist is no longer that easy to kill target. It becomes this very dangerous foe. You think to yourself, okay, like, what's this guy attuned to? What is he gonna do? It's hard to notice which elements they have. And now back onto the barrier. With the amount of barrier that you can stack, I remember dueling, and the amount of barrier I stacked was just ridiculous. I had confusion on me, constantly dealing damage with my abilities, and it didn't do a dent in my health, because it just took away at my barrier.
Yeah, I remember that. I was trying to like spamming all the skills with my Mirage, and I was like, "You're not dying!" Because I was just trying to break the barrier and not your health.
Yeah.
It was really annoying.
The skills, the stances that come with the Weaver are, I'd say, maybe not the most interesting skills when you first look at them. So you have, as a healing skill, there's the aquatic stance. It's kind of a mediocre healing skill, if you ask me. It doesn't really. It helps, yes, but it's not great, I'd say. It has you going in melee range most of the time, as far as I recall. It's you need to strike your foe and then you heal. And you heal nearby allies as well. It's kind of iffy if you ask me, not really my favorite healing skill at all. There's the other stances that are something like there's one that breaks stun and then briefly you evade attacks. And there's these are very, very weird skills. But the thing is, they have some of the shortest cooldowns I've seen in this game. 5 seconds, most of them. The
What?
Elite, yes, the Elite is the only one that actually has a whopping 90 seconds worth of a cooldown. The rest of them, they're just all like 5 seconds. The healing skill is 4 seconds.
Wow.
So, you look at them and you think, oh, this isn't that great. But then you realize, oh, wait, I can do this every 5 seconds. Okay, it's ridiculous. Because you break stuns every 5 seconds. You fully attune to an element of your choosing without having to swap to that element directly again. So I want to go full back to fire. I can just do that every 5 seconds because I have a stance that does that. There's the barrier. Every 5 seconds I can put on barrier.
Oh my god.
So if you can't take down my barrier that I can make with traits, that I can make with skills, in 5 seconds, I add on that barrier, because these barriers, as far as I can tell, barrier just keeps on adding up. It doesn't seem to be, it doesn't seem to overwrite itself when you use a skill. At least those were in my brief tests with the barrier. I'll be honest, barrier was one of those things I did not pay a lot of attention to when I started playing the Weaver, but I noticed in the fight. Apart from that, I gotta say, in comparing it to, let's say, the Tempest, I can't. The Tempest is simplistic. It's sit here for a few seconds. You can now do a new thing. It's interesting. It's powerful to some degree, but it's not the Weaver. It's not this fun, constantly swapping between elements to try and outmaneuver my enemy, choosing which element is best to swap to when, and knowing that, okay, I'm on Earth, swapping to anything else will put Earth as my first 3 skills, and the other thing that I'm swapping to will put it as my last 2 skills. It makes for a very interesting dynamic. The skill ceiling for the Elementalist has just gone up with this thing.
Yeah, because I think it does the same kind of thing about like the middle spell with most of the weapons, right?
Yeah, it does it with all the weapons. Every single weapon you have will change its middle skill. But yeah, there's no way to work around it. So if you have the Weaver, you'll constantly be weaving these elements over and over. And I think it's a really good thing that they did this. It showcases, I think, what the Elementalist should mostly be about. It should be about swapping between your elements and constantly getting the best out of it. The element cooldowns have also been reduced to 3 seconds each, as far as I could tell. I don't remember any one of them being more than 3 seconds, or maybe it was 5 seconds and I just wasn't paying attention to the first 2 seconds. The idea, it's beautiful. What they've done here, I think this is basically what the Elementalist should be, in my eyes at least. It's not going to be for everyone. I perfectly understand that. It's not going to be the best thing out there either. I don't know if this thing will find its way into PvE. It might be just a little bit too chaotic for that. Or it might actually find its way into PvE, because as we've seen, they sort of typecast the Tempest as a support class rather than a full-on damage one. And this one seems to be taking out that that role of DPS. So yeah, I can't say much more than the fact that I really like the Weaver. I love the barrier, and I think it's what the Elementalist needed.
Yeah, I completely agree with most of those things. It really, as you said right now, it really seems like indeed the Weaver is like what Elementalist should be, which like the master of elements. You're literally just swapping the elements in your like fingertips. I will have to disagree in one thing, I think. I think when you choose a new attunement, it goes to your main hand, so it's like skill 1 and 2, not 4 and 5. I'm not sure though. I think it's that way though.
Did I mess those up? I messed those up. All right. Yeah.
It's okay though.
Yes, it does. It does. In fact, it goes when you swap to new attunement. You're perfectly right. It goes to skill 1 and 2, not to 4 and 5. I got confused over there.
I guess you got too overexcited. That's all.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the barrier. The barrier is the good bit of this elite spec. I'm telling you, it's. I don't care about anything else. I'm kidding, of course. It's all really cool. I haven't talked at all about the elite, so I guess what I should say is the elite is interesting. Let's just put it like that. It's complicated. It encompasses the entire idea of the Weaver. It's complicated. I won't sit around to explain all the interactions that you can do with it. If you do it perfectly, it's a very nice skill. Although, things might change. It did feel like I was doing a bit too much damage, seemingly. And I do feel like most of these things, these elite specs, have been slightly overtuned during the beta.
Yeah, probably most of them or all of them will change. You're right on that.
Alright, so that was the Weaver with all its stances and its dual attacks. A sort of combination between Warrior and Thief, I believe. Very interesting, and I can't wait to see more of it. And I guess we'll see you all in the next video. See ya!
Bye bye!